What's up, guys? Welcome to Roensch Capital Charts. Today we're taking a look at Tesla, ticker symbol TSLA, on a variety of time frames in anticipation of the next trading day, Monday, February 5th. Well, Tesla stock here today, finishing the day down just under a point, about 0.5%, actually seeing a pretty nice second half of the day rally to finish almost flat on the day, about a 3% rally here into today's close. Now, one thing I do want to make sure you guys are aware of here on the 1-minute chart, intraday from a psychological perspective, I'm sure we did see a lot of traders entering long, not just on the break of volume weighted average price, that blue line there, right? But most likely we got, you can see here, we got an increase in volume on the break, retest, and then pull away through that previous high. That candle you can see here, we got quite a bit of additional volume, right? That was most likely intraday trend traders getting long, which we then saw the market continue to grind higher into the close. Now, that's a setup that I'm constantly discussing, that break, pullback, and hold as support. We've talked about that a lot. I taught a live class on this on the main channel, Roensch Capital, and this is something I'm constantly talking about. It's a very, very common psychological setup that requires actually very minimal risk. You can set your stop incredibly tight, and it turns into a pretty large reward to risk potential trade. If you guys are interested in learning more about that, there are 6 platinum spots left. The availability is limited because it is one-on-one. I'm in touch with you guys one-on-one through private message in our Roensch Capital Gold Discord server. There's 6 spots left, at least as of right now. You can join there if you'd like through the first link or the only link, I suppose, in the pinned comment. Let's move on now to the 5-minute chart and take a little bit of a closer look here at Tesla. So we can see that we got quite a bit of volume here on the initial fall off of the open. We had some volatility, but trending lower, and then actually getting some consolidation through mid-morning. But what I really want to point out here, because we're looking at volume, see this area here? When you correlate that to its volume, we saw an increase, an unnatural increase. We don't typically see that in the midday or early afternoon on Tesla. We saw that as the stock grinded higher, so that's an unnatural increase in volume. If you're a bull, that is a positive thing to see. It started out in the bear's favor, fading on higher volume, but once we saw that unnaturally high volume at an odd time of day as the stock grinded higher, that's a positive sign for bulls. You always want to see as much volume as possible if the stock is making a move in the direction of your bias. Let's now move on here and take a look at the 30-minute chart and get an idea of what levels to watch here coming into Monday. So you can see that 50-period moving average, that white line, and that gray line, the 200-period moving average, are coming together. They're essentially meeting in the middle, and the stock closed out the week here just above both of those. Now, we faded just below the 200-period after hours. Again, after hours, always take it with a grain of salt. Volume is very low, and it's hard to take after hours movements seriously unless we see higher volume due to like an earnings report or something. But, very obviously here on the 30-minute chart, next week, Monday in particular, you're going to see a lot of traders who are looking at this chart looking for a hold of both of these moving averages on the 30-minute. Okay, so if you are bullish, you ideally want to see both of these hold into and through Monday. If you're a bear, though, obviously, you want to get back down beneath both, ideally retest and fade off of them as resistance. That would be what the bears would be looking for. Let's move on here to the 4-hour chart and get a little bit more context here from the important self-fulfilling prophecy technical regions like this 50-period and the 200-period now on the 4-hour. Again, always looking at multiple time frames to get the most context possible. We don't ever want to just trade off of one time frame, especially on day-to-day stuff. Intraday stuff, you can kind of get away with it a little bit more. But day-to-day, we need multiple time frames because everyone else is also looking at multiple time frames. This chart makes it very obvious. I'm looking very clearly at 2 areas. That's going to be that 177.50 to 180 region of potential support that we've been talking about so much as of late. And then also that 50 period is sitting right at about 194 right now. So we are currently in a channel kind of between like 177.50, 180 up to about 195. So if you are a bear, for example, you'd ideally want to see us make our way down to this region, 177.50 to 180, and ideally break down beneath there. If you're a bull looking at the 4-hour chart here, a break up above that 194.50 period moving average would be absolutely beautiful if the stock did hold, because we haven't been above that on the 4-hour since going back to December 28th, 2023. So it's been a little while here. Now, let's look at arguably the most important chart that we're going to look at all day here, the daily chart with you have the 50-day and the 200-day. Now listen, the 50-day is crossing beneath the 200-day. Here on the daily chart, you're going to get a lot of people in chat rooms and whatnot saying, oh, that's the death cross. The Tesla just had a death cross. The 50-day crossed beneath the 200-day. You have to understand, the whole death cross, golden cross thing is massively, massively, massively overhyped. I believe that these levels are only relevant when trading around them. At least they are the most relevant when doing so. The death cross and golden cross, it can be an indication psychologically, at least in my experience, of a trending stock continuing the trend. But listen, you have to understand that this big dump off on Tesla happened on earnings, and we've basically consolidated since then. This is simply the moving averages catching up with the earnings move finally. To me, I'm looking at this death cross. This is almost meaningless, at least in my opinion. Okay, so here on the daily chart, what I'm looking at again is that 177.50 to 180 region, and then also we could argue that 195 area is an area of technical importance here on the daily, which lines up with the 4-hour chart. We have that 194 region, and then $200 a share is obviously a psychological level to be watching here moving forward. Implied volatility, by the way, is coming down. That shows that the stock is becoming slightly more comfortable where it currently stands, and that does open up potential opportunity here for new options buyers to experience some IV pump if we end up seeing this turn back up toward equilibrium. Okay, let's finish out here by taking a look at what the options traders are thinking as we head into next week. Good sample size here, 2.94 million total contracts traded. Overall call put ratio, we are getting a bit of a bullish lean here. 1.64 million calls traded today, 1.3 million puts. Now, the 0 to 20 delta, short-term speculation, right? What are the short-term, like, gambly style speculators thinking as we head into Monday? Big sample size, over 1.23 million total contracts in that 0 to 20 delta range. So I want to be looking at that. We're seeing that lean even more bullish than the overall call put ratio, with 754,000 calls and 477,000 puts. Guys, let me know in the comment section what stocks you'd like to see covered here on this channel, Roensch Capital Charts, in the near future, even if it is just Tesla. That feedback is incredibly helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.